So let's try to explain what is it about the tariff. Who is importing within the United States? This is companies that reside in the United States. So the tariff are applied to them. And of course, they are paying back the government. It is an organization called ERS, in the way that the trade deficit will be shrinking. But we need to understand also the consequences out of it. Importers are going to push the tariff on the consumer. So at the end of the story, what is happening? This is in fact the consumer that are going to pay that are going to pay for the tariff, and this is going to increase inflation. There is another mechanism that the importer can use. This is about to, in fact, to pressure the supplier, telling them that they need, in fact, to reduce their margin. But this is not working that way. So therefore, when Donald Trump is telling to Xi Jinping to come in the US to produce in United States, I do not think that this is going to happen. And we are going in detail to understand what are the consequences out of it. So what we've been seeing lately, the last 2 days, is that the market has been reacting extremely badly. The idea of Donald Trump is the following. He's saying, if I am applying tariffs, I am going to force American companies to move from China, from Vietnam, from South Korea, back home in the way that they will be producing jobs. It is not so obvious. He is thinking that he will have the capacity to inject major investments to rebuild how do you call this? The manufacturing industry.
Infrastructure.
So let's look at each case. If you have a unique product, and you know that United States needs this product, you have a monopolistic position. This is the case of China and Russia in regard of uranium, titan, rare earth. So therefore, if Donald Trump is applying tariff on those products, well, if I am a supplier, I am not going, in fact, to move anything, and I will let, in fact, the consumer buying for this price, which is going, in fact, to generate inflation. Okay. If your product is very cheap and does not require technology, it means that this product can be found in other countries. Then you're going to be in trouble, and you will have, in fact, to comply to the policy that Donald Trump is going, in fact, to implement. If your technology requires high qualified workforce with specific skills at an affordable price, and this is the case for Apple, this is the case for Dell, TSMC, and so on, you are not going to move your production facilities to the United States for one reason. You need to find the resources that are capable, in fact, to do the job that is supposed to be done, which means the training is going to be extremely long. It takes about 5 years to build an engineer in electronics. You need to have those people in the capacity to execute the job and to have the interest in the job. And actually, if you look at the population in the US, they are not very much interested in this kind of position. So therefore, to move your facility within the United States is going to generate a very high cost of production, because the salaries are not equivalent in China and in the United States. And therefore, at the end of the story, you are going to lose your competitive advantage, because the product that you are going to build is going to cost way too much. So therefore, the story of tariff, depending on the industry, does not work at all. This is exactly the same thing for Nike. Nike, they are making sneakers, meaning the shoes for running. They are not going to move their facilities, because they know that the shoes they are going to make, despite the fact that the entry level in technology is not so high, but the cost of the workforce is so low in Asia that it will be not compensated in terms of advantage with the transportation by the resources they will find in the US. So therefore, this is like a very big problem, in fact, for Trump, because he hasn't been leveraging this kind of factor. There is also another factor. It is, in fact, the lack of production. Based on the moment you don't have a product on your market and you need it for others mean, if this is like a sub-product that goes in the composition of a final product, then you are going to introduce contention in the supply chain. And this means that, in fact, you are going to block, in fact, your entire economy. So it does not make any sense. There are some others type of problem that they can encounter with the cost of workforce. This is for the tariff retaliation. This is exactly what has been happening with Mexico and Canada. Canada and Mexico has been deciding, in fact, to retaliate on the parts for automotive. They are able to produce parts at the cost of minus 38% in Canada and minus 64% in the US, which means that the maintenance of every car in the US is affordable to the public, when with this tariff retaliation, this is going to backfire on the consumer. So basically, the relocation trend might take a huge amount of money, a huge amount of time, which is critical, in fact, to the economy. On top of it, it goes against the policy of Donald Trump, because he tried to make sure that he is shrinking the cost of spending when asking for rebuilding companies and rebuilding manufacturing capacity, is asking for major investment. When you don't have the money for something, you don't have the money for other things. So therefore, this type of policy is going against each other and doesn't work. So basically, this can become a very serious political problem for him, because in the next 20 months or so, there will be the midterms. And taking, in fact, the risk of putting tariff and to crush the economy, knowing that most of the people in the United States are investing their money on the stock market for retirement, this is going to backfire to him. So let's look at the global picture. What we're dealing with here now, this is what we call a hellish Mobius spiral, based on a dictatorial policy. He wants to resolve the debt. That means lowering the interest rate to tame the inflation, to increase the buying power of the population, to boost the industry with investments, and to make America great again. On the other side, he's introducing tariff. Don't forget one thing first. The debt resolution is very nice by lowering the rates, but now that the demand in dollar is much lower due to the BRICS policy that has been set up to trade with their own currency, this is making the investors shifting away from the US market. So the trade war is going to generate inflation. This is going to trigger indebtedness of the consumer, slowing the investments necessary, in fact, to bring back the manufacturing in the US. Therefore, the investor will be running away. This is going to lower the demand in dollar. This is not going to support the debt and therefore the hegemony of America. So the debt explosion is going to trigger a market collapse and therefore a quantity easing from the Fed. And quantity easing from the Fed, what does it mean? It means injection of massive amount of money in the US economy, which is generating inflation, because this is going to dilute the capacity of the dollar. And therefore, we can face, in fact, a social political destabilization in the US.